Christmas again. Merry Christmas, JT. Merry Christmas, Lucy. Hi, Kaylee. Merry Christmas again. I thought I'd read you one more story. This one is about how the Grinch stole Christmas by Dr. Seuss. If you've got the book, you can read along with me. Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot, but the Grinch who lived just north of Whoville did not. The Grinch hated Christmas the whole Christmas season. Now, please don't ask why. No one quite knows the reason. It could be his head wasn't screwed on quite right. It could be perhaps that his shoes were too tight. But I think the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was just 2 sizes too small. But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas hating the Whos, staring down from his cave with a sour, grinchy frown at the warm lighted windows below in their town. For he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now hanging a mistletoe wreath. And they're hanging their stockings, he snarled with a sneer. Tomorrow's Christmas, it's practically here. Then he grabbed his Grinch fingers, nervously drumming, I must find a way to keep Christmas from coming. For tomorrow he knew all the Who girls and boys would wake up bright and early, and they'd rush for their toys. And then, oh, the noise, oh, the noise, oh, the noise. That's one thing he hated, the noise, the noise, the noise. Then the Whos, young and old, would sit down to a feast, and they'd feast and they'd feast and they'd feast and they'd feast. They'd start on Who pudding and rare Who roast beast, which was something the Grinch just couldn't stand in the least. And then they'd do something he liked least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand hand in hand, and the Whos would start singing. And they'd sing, and they'd sing, and they'd sing, and they'd sing. And the more the Grinch thought of the Who Christmas sing, the more the Grinch thought, I must stop this whole thing. Why, for 53 years I've put up with it now. I must stop Christmas from coming. But how? Then he got an idea, an awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea. I knew just what to do. The Grinch laughed in his throat, and he made a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat, and he chuckled and clucked, what a great Grinchy trick. With his coat and this hat, I'll look just like St. Nick. All I need is reindeer. The Grinch looked around, but since reindeer are scarce, there was none to be found. But did that stop the old Grinch? No, the Grinch simply said, if I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. So he called his dog Max, then he took some red thread, and he tied a big horn on top of Max's head. Then he loaded some bags and some empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh, and he hitched up old Max. Then the Grinch said, get up, and the sleigh started down toward the homes where the Whos lay a snooze in their town. All their windows were dark, quiet snow filled the air. All the Whos were dreaming sweet dreams without care. When he came on the first house in the square, this is stop number 1, the old Grinchy Claus hissed, and he climbed on the roof, empty bags in his fist. Then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch, but if Santa could do it, then so could the Grinch. He got stuck only once for a moment or two. Then he stuck his head out of the fireplace flue, where the little Who stockings all hung in a row. These stockings, he grinned, are the first things to go. Then he slithered and slunk with a smile most unpleasant around the whole room, and he took every present. Pop guns and bicycles, roller skates and drums, checkerboards, tricycles, popcorn, and plums. And he stuffed them in bags that the Grinch very nimbly stuffed all the bags one by one up the chimney. Then he slunk to the icebox, he took the Who's feast, he took the Who pudding, he even took the roast beast. He cleaned out the icebox as quick as a flash, while that Grinch even took their last can of Who hash. Then he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee, and now, grinned the Grinch, I will stuff up the tree. And the Grinch grabbed the tree, and he started to shove, when he heard a small sound like the coo of a dove. He turned around fast, and he saw a small Who, little Cindy Lou Who was not more than 2. The Grinch had been caught by the little Who daughter, who'd gotten out of bed for a cup of cold water. She stared at the Grinch and she said, "Santa Claus, why? Why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why?" But you know the old Grinch was so smart and so slick, he thought up a lie and he thought it up quick. "Why, my sweet little tot," the fake Santa Claus lied, "there's a light on this tree that won't light on one side. So I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there, then I'll bring it back here." And his fib fooled the child, and he patted her head, and he got her a drink, and he sent her to bed. And when Cindy Lou Who went to bed with her cup, he went up the chimney and stuffed the tree up. Then the last thing he took was the log for their fire. Then he went up the chimney himself, the old liar, and their walls he left nothing but hooks and some wire. And the one speck of food that he left in the house was a crumb that was too small for even a mouse. Then he did the same thing to other Who houses, leaving crumbs much too small for other Who mouses. It was 1/4 dawn, all the Who's still in bed, all the Who's still a snooze when he packed up his sled. Packed it up with their presents, the ribbons and wrappings, the tags and the tinsel, the trimmings and the trappings. 3,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet, he rode to the tip-top to dump it. "Pooh-pooh to the Who's," he was Grinchiously humming. "They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up. I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open a minute or two. Then all the Who's down in Whoville will cry, 'Boo-hoo, boo-hoo, boo-hoo.'" "There's a noise," grinned the Grinch, "that I simply must hear." So he paused, and the Grinch put a hand to his ear, and he did not hear a sound rising over snow. It started out low, but it started to grow. But the sound wasn't sad. Why, this sound sounded merry. It couldn't be, but it was merry very. He stared down at Whoville, the Grinch popped his eyes. Then he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, weren't singing without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or another, it came just the same. And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons, it came without tags, it came without packages, boxes, or bags, and he puzzled 3 hours till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas perhaps means a little bit more. And what happened then? Well, in Whoville they'd say that Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light, and he brought back the toys and the food for the feast, and he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beast. What a great story. You know, I think Christmas is about more than the toys. The toys are a part of it, but it's more, they're just kind of a symbol. They're just kind of a reward for you being so good this year and to show you how much we love you. But really, Christmas is in our hearts. It's about everybody being together and loving each other. And I wish I could be with you, but I can't be with you this year. Maybe next year. But I sure do love you very, very much, and I can't wait to hear about your whole Christmas morning. So I'll talk to you soon. I love you very much, JT. I love you very much, Lucy. KK, hi, I love you too. And Christy and Wes, I love you. And Christy, I especially love you. You know how much I love you and I miss you. So you all have a wonderful Christmas, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.